Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a season in life when the world seems to turn its back on you. Friends disappear, support fades, doors close, and the ones you counted on the most walk away. It is in these moments when the silence is deafening, when the nights are longest, when your heart feels the heaviest, that the true power of God reveals itself. When everyone leaves, it is not the end. No, it is the beginning of your elevation. It is the moment when God Himself steps into your story to lift you higher than you could ever imagine. You see, He doesn't need the approval of the crowd. He doesn't need the applause of people. He operates in the unseen, orchestrating your rise with divine precision. You may feel abandoned, but God is not distant. He is strategically positioning you, pruning your life, removing what holds you back, and preparing you for a purpose that exceeds the limitations of human understanding. Every loss, every betrayal, closed door is not punishment, it is preparation. Do not despair when people leave. Do not shrink when support fades. Do not question your value when doors close. God is lifting you higher, higher than your fears, higher than your doubts, higher than your past. The elevation is not just for you. It is for those who will one day look at your life and say, "That is divine." So hold on, keep the faith, stand firm in your calling. The same God who allows the storms to come also sends the winds of favor. The same God who sees you alone in the dark also prepares the platform for your greatest victory. When everyone leaves, remember this: you are not abandoned. You are being elevated, and when you rise, your testimony will be so powerful, so undeniable. Those who left will witness the hand of God in your life, and they will know that He lifts those who remain faithful in the unseen. There comes a moment in every life when you feel the sting of abandonment. The people you thought would stand with you through thick and thin vanish. Friends fade, family disappoints, partners walk away, and mentors who once encouraged you now seem distant. You feel the empty echoes of absence. You wonder, why did they leave? Was it something I did? Am I not enough? What you are feeling is not the end of your story. It is not the final chapter. It is not a reflection of your value or a measure of your destiny. Abandonment is temporary, but elevation is eternal. What looks like loss feels like rejection. What seems like a door slamming shut in your face. These are not signs of failure. They are signs that God is preparing you for a level you could not reach while surrounded by people who could not understand your purpose. When abandonment comes, it hurts. There is no denying that. The heart aches, the mind questions, and the spirit wrestles with doubt. But pain, my friend, is not the enemy. Pain is the compass. Pain is the signal that something is shifting beneath the surface. Pain is the invitation to rise above what you thought was possible. In the stillness of abandonment, God whispers, "I am lifting you higher than you can imagine." Abandonment has a way of exposing what is real. It shows you who is truly invested in your life, who truly believes in your dreams, and who is capable of standing in the fire with you. And sometimes, the very people you thought would never leave are the ones who need to step away so that you can step into the fullness of your calling. It is not about them, it is about the elevation God has planned for you. Think about the seed buried in the soil. It is in the darkness, surrounded by weight and pressure, that the seed develops the strength to break through the earth and reach the sun. The seed does not question the darkness. It does not rebel against being covered. It does not despair when it is buried beneath the weight of the soil. Instead, it grows stronger in the unseen. When the time is right, it bursts forth into the light, tall, strong, and vibrant. This is the nature of elevation. It grows in the unseen, nurtured by faith, strengthened by trials, and perfected through patience. When abandonment touches your life, remember it is temporary. People may leave. Your destiny does not. Doors may close, but God is opening doors that you cannot yet see. Relationships may fail, but divine favor cannot be taken away. You may feel alone, but you are never truly alone. God is walking with you. He is guiding you. He is lifting you above the limitations that the absence of others might try to impose. There's a divine law in life. What leaves you, God will replace, often with something greater. And He does not merely restore what was lost. He elevates you to a level you could not have reached if everyone had stayed. The disappointments, the betrayals, The walks away, they are the furnace in which your faith is refined and your strength is forged. And just as gold is purified by fire, your elevation is purified by abandonment. You must understand that elevation is eternal. The things God does in your life, the position He raises you to, platform He prepares, are not temporary. They are not dependent on the presence of people, the approval of the crowd, or the comfort of companionship. They are rooted in divine purpose. Elevation is a state that transcends human understanding. It is not measured by applause or recognition. It is measured by impact, influence, and fulfillment of destiny. So when you feel the cold hand of abandonment, do not despair, do not shrink, do not question your worth. Instead, embrace the moment as a divine appointment with your future. Use the time to grow stronger. Use the time to deepen your faith. Use the time to prepare your heart for the elevation that is coming. Remember, temporary absence does not equal permanent defeat. The world may turn its back, but God is lifting you higher. Abandonment is painful, but it is also necessary. Teaches you lessons you could not learn any other way. It removes distractions and clears the path for what God has planned. It separates you from what is holding you back and positions you for a breakthrough that will exceed your imagination. And when the elevation comes, you will look back and realize that every person who left, every door that closed, every hand that pulled away, part of God's perfect plan to lift you higher. Faith is required in times of abandonment. You may not see the path clearly. You may not understand why people leave. You may not understand why circumstances change. Faith is the bridge that carries you from temporary loss to eternal elevation. Faith says, I may be alone today, but I am not abandoned. I may be rejected today, but I am not forsaken. I may feel unseen today, but God sees me and He has lifted me higher. And when you finally rise, not be in the shadow of your past. It will not be defined by those who walked away. Your elevation will shine so brightly. Your testimony will be so powerful that the very ones who left will witness the hand of God in your life. And in that moment, you will understand something profound. Abandonment was never meant to break you. It was meant to prepare you. It was never meant to diminish you. It was meant to elevate you. And it was never permanent, but your elevation is eternal. So hold fast to hope. Hold fast to faith. Do not allow the temporary absence of people to rob you of your eternal elevation. Stand tall. Keep moving forward. Keep believing. Keep pressing. Trust that the God who sees your pain, who knows your struggle, and who understands your heart is orchestrating a rise that will leave a mark for generations. Abandonment is temporary, but elevation is eternal. The ones who leave are merely making room for the ones God will bring. The doors that close are merely preparing the stage for the doors that will open. Heartbreaks you endure are merely stepping stones to a higher place, a greater purpose, and a life filled with divine favor. Leaves you today cannot stop what God is doing for you tomorrow. The people who leave may never return, but the God who lifts you higher never abandons. So rise. Rise above the pain. Rise above the doubt. Rise above the fear. And when you do, you will discover the truth. Abandonment is temporary. Elevation, divine, eternal, unstoppable elevation is forever. There are moments in life when everything seems out of place. You work tirelessly. You pray earnestly. You give generously, yet nothing seems to align. Doors remain closed. Opportunities seem distant. And success appears to belong to everyone else but you. In times like these, it is easy to feel lost, frustrated, or forgotten. But the truth is this: you are not misplaced. You are not late. You are not abandoned. You are experiencing divine positioning. Divine positioning is God's way of aligning your life with His purpose, even when the world tells you that you are off course. It is the invisible hand that moves you into the exact place you need to be for your blessing to manifest. It is not about timing according to the clock of the world. It is about timing according to the plan of heaven. You may not see it yet. Everything in your life is orchestrated with precision. Every encounter, every obstacle, every season of waiting is designed to position you for elevation. Think about the life of a farmer planting seeds. The farmer does not throw seeds randomly into the soil and hope for a harvest. He prepares the ground, sows the seeds in the right place, waters them, and waits patiently. The harvest comes not because of the seed alone, but because the seed was placed in the right position, in fertile soil at the right time. So it is with your life. Divine positioning is God planting you in the soil of preparation so that when the season comes, your growth is unstoppable, your fruit is abundant, and your harvest is guaranteed. Sometimes divine positioning requires patience. It requires you to trust when the answers are delayed, to believe when the doors remain closed, and to persevere when it seems as if the world is moving forward without you. You may feel that others are ahead, that opportunities have passed you by, or that your efforts are wasted. But remember, God's plan is never hurried. He moves you with purpose, not panic. He positions you with intention, not improvisation. And when he moves, the elevation that comes cannot be replicated, duplicated, or delayed by human timing. Divine positioning is not always comfortable. Often God positions you in places that challenge your faith, expand your patience, and stretch your character. You may find yourself in situations that seem unfamiliar, surrounded by people who do not understand your vision, navigating circumstances that feel overwhelming. But these are the very moments that refine you, strengthen you, prepare you to step into the fullness of your destiny. It is in the discomfort of divine positioning that your faith becomes unshakable, your focus becomes unmovable, and your purpose becomes undeniable. Consider the story of Joseph in the scriptures. He was sold by his brothers, imprisoned unjustly, and forgotten by those who should have supported him. By all human standards, he was out of place, lost, and forgotten. Yet God's divine positioning was at work. Every trial, every setback, every delay was orchestrating Joseph's rise to a place of authority where he would save nations from famine. Divine positioning often looks like delay. It feels like hardship, but it is always leading to elevation. Divine positioning also means that God arranges your encounters. Every person who crosses your path is placed there by divine design. Some are there to teach you, some are there to test you, some are there to bless you, and some are there to prepare you. Even those who leave, disappoint, or betray you are part of the divine orchestration. Every interaction, every relationship, every connection is a piece of the puzzle God is assembling to bring you to the place you were meant to occupy. You may feel invisible. You may feel overlooked. You may feel as if no one sees your potential. But divine positioning assures you that you are exactly where you need to be for your blessing to manifest. God does not waste a season. He does not misplace a moment. He does not overlook your preparation. What may seem like delay or obscurity is actually the careful positioning of God to ensure that your rise is perfect, your impact is maximized, your destiny is fulfilled. Divine positioning also protects you. Sometimes we are ready for blessings before we are ready for people. Sometimes we are prepared for success before the world is prepared to receive us. Divine positioning ensures that we arrive at the right place at the right time, too early to miss the fullness and not too late to miss the opportunity. It keeps us from harm, guides us past distractions, aligns us with favor that cannot be bought, borrowed, or forced. You must learn to recognize divine positioning. Not every closed door is rejection. Not every delay is failure. Not every detour is disappointment. Often, these are signals from God telling you, you are being placed, you are being prepared, you are being positioned. When you understand this, your perspective changes. Patience becomes power. Waiting becomes worship. Preparation becomes a platform for your promotion. Divine positioning is not passive. While God positions you, He also calls you to action. You must be ready. You must be diligent. You must be faithful. You cannot plant your seed in the soil of preparation and then refuse to water it. You cannot step into your season and then ignore the opportunities placed before you. Divine positioning works in tandem with diligence, faithfulness, obedience. God positions you, but He expects you to show up ready to walk into the fullness of your blessing. Finally, divine positioning is eternal in its impact. The place where God positions you today is not just for today. It is a launching pad for tomorrow. The platform He prepares, the favor He orchestrates, and the opportunities He aligns are meant to carry you into a future that exceeds imagination. When you trust in divine positioning, you realize that your life is not random, your steps are not wasted, and your purpose is unfolding exactly as it should. So when you feel lost, when doors remain closed, when people leave, and when life seems out of alignment, remember this: you are not misplaced. You are not forgotten. You are experiencing divine positioning. God is strategically arranging your life, orchestrating your steps, and placing you in the right moment with the right people and for the right purpose. And when the timing is perfect, your elevation will come, your impact will be undeniable, and your destiny will be fulfilled. Divine positioning is a promise. It is a principle. It is a path that leads to purpose, power, promotion. Stand firm. Be patient. Trust the process. Your position is divine, your season is appointed, and your rise is inevitable. There is a pain in life that everyone will feel at some point, a pain that shakes you to your core, a pain that threatens to steal your hope, pain that makes you question everything you thought you knew. It is the pain of loss, loss of relationships, loss of opportunities, loss of dreams, loss of what you held dear. Loss is heavy and it can feel devastating. But let me tell you something: loss is not the end. Loss is not the enemy. Loss is preparation. Yes, preparation. The very thing that breaks you also builds you. The very thing that empties your hands is the thing that fills your heart with the strength you need to carry the blessing God has waiting for you. You see, God is not careless. He does not allow loss to touch your life without purpose. Every closed door, every painful goodbye, every dream that seems shattered is a part of His divine preparation. When loss comes, it is natural to ask, why me? What did I do wrong? Why now? And while those questions are human, the answers lie in a higher understanding. Loss is often the pruning season of your life. It removes what is no longer serving you, what is no longer healthy, and what could hinder your future. Just as a gardener prunes a tree to make it stronger, God allows loss to prepare you for growth that you could not have achieved otherwise. Consider the times you have been rejected. Consider the times someone walked away, leaving you feeling abandoned. Consider the doors that slammed shut just as you thought you were about to walk through. These are not failures. These are not signs that God has forgotten you. They are signs that He is preparing you. Sometimes you have to be emptied before you can be filled. Sometimes you have to lose what is comfortable to gain what is extraordinary. Loss teaches lessons that comfort never could. It teaches resilience, patience, and faith. It forces you to confront your weaknesses and rely on strength that is greater than yourself. It forces you to look inward and upward, to seek guidance from the one who can turn every setback into a setup for a comeback. When you lose, you are not being punished. You are being prepared for a level of greatness that could only come through endurance. Think about the story of David. Before he became king, he faced loss after loss. He was rejected by his family, chased by enemies, and abandoned by those he trusted. Yet every trial, every heartbreak, and every season of waiting was a part of God's preparation. Each loss strengthened his faith, sharpened his character, and readied him for the throne. Loss, when seen through the eyes of faith, is never meaningless. It is a divine training ground. Loss also brings clarity. It reveals who truly cares, who stands in faith with you, and who will remain when everything else is stripped away. It teaches you to value what is eternal rather than temporary, to focus on what cannot be taken away rather than what the world offers. Loss positions you to see your life differently, to understand your purpose more deeply, and to step into your destiny with a heart that has been refined by fire. Do not fear loss. Do not fight it unnecessarily. Do not view it as the end of the road. Loss is not a signal to give up. It is an invitation to rise higher. It is God's way of preparing you for the assignment that only you can fulfill. It is shaping you, molding you, readying you for a future that is bigger than anything you could have imagined. Sometimes loss removes distractions. Sometimes it clears the path so that you can move forward unimpeded. Sometimes it teaches you to depend not on people, but on God. The lessons you learn in seasons of loss cannot be learned in seasons of comfort. The strength you develop in the absence of support cannot be acquired while surrounded by approval. The wisdom you gain through disappointment cannot be attained through ease. Loss is preparation for power. Loss is preparation for purpose. Loss is preparation for promotion. The pain you feel today is preparing you for the triumphs of tomorrow. The emptiness you experience is shaping you to receive abundance. The heartbreak you endure is preparing your heart for the joy that cannot be taken away. Every loss is a divine setup, a strategic step toward the destiny God has designed specifically for you. Do not measure your progress by what you have lost. Measure it by what you are becoming. Measure it by the strength you are gaining. Measure it by the faith that is growing within you. Loss is temporary. Preparation is eternal. The lessons, the character, the resilience, the understanding that comes from loss, these are permanent. They will serve as the foundation for every blessing that follows. Think about Joseph, sold into slavery, betrayed by his brothers, imprisoned unjustly. He lost everything, yet God used every loss to prepare him for greatness. When the famine came, when the nations were in need, Joseph was ready. His preparation through loss made him a savior to many, and so it will be for you. What you endure today is preparing you for influence, impact, elevation tomorrow. Do not despise the season of loss. Do not resent the empty hands. Do not allow heartbreak to turn into bitterness. Instead, embrace it as training. Embrace it as shaping. Embrace it as preparation. When you can see loss through the lens of purpose, your perspective changes, your faith strengthens, and your patience grows. You understand that nothing is wasted in God's economy, not your tears, not your trials, not your setbacks. The world will try to tell you that loss is defeat. The world will try to convince you that what is gone forever. But in the eyes of God, loss is a prelude to blessing. Loss is a classroom. Loss is a refining fire. Loss is preparation. And when you step out of the season of loss, you will do so stronger, wiser, and better equipped than you ever were before. So stand firm, keep trusting, keep believing, keep pressing. God is working in the shadows, in the quiet moments, in the tears you shed alone. He is shaping you, strengthening you, preparing you for the extraordinary life that lies ahead. Loss is temporary, preparation is eternal. And the elevation, the promotion, and the breakthrough that are coming your way will prove it. Loss is not the end. It is the beginning of your preparation. It is the prelude to your purpose. It is the setup for your rise. Hold on, trust God, stay faithful, and watch as every loss becomes the foundation for your greatest victory. There is a truth in life that so many of us struggle to embrace. Your value is not determined by the opinions of others. Your worth is not measured by applause, recognition, or approval. Yet, too often, we allow our sense of self to be shaped by those around us. We chase validation, crave acceptance, bend ourselves to fit expectations that were never meant for us. And in doing so, we compromise the greatness that God has placed within us. Your self-worth is intrinsic. It is innate. It is established by the one who created you, the one who knows your potential, the one who has a plan for your life that cannot be replicated by anyone else. When people fail to see your value, when friends walk away, when opportunities are denied, or when criticism comes your way, it does not diminish who you are. It only serves as a reminder that your worth is not tied to the approval of human beings. It is anchored in the divine. Too often, we measure ourselves against others. We look at someone else's achievements, appearance, influence, or success, and we think, I am not enough. I don't measure up. But here is the truth. You are not called to be someone else. You are called to be yourself. You are called to live the life that only you can live, to fulfill the purpose that only you were designed to fulfill, and to walk in the identity that was given to you before the world ever saw your face. Self-worth comes from recognizing the unique fingerprint of God on your life. It comes from understanding that you are fearfully and wonderfully made. When people define your worth, you give away your power. You allow the opinions of others to shape your decisions, your dreams, and your destiny. You become enslaved to the approval of the crowd rather than liberated by the purpose of God. But when you embrace your true self-worth, you no longer need validation. You no longer need permission. You no longer need the applause of the world to step into the life that God has prepared for you. Consider the life of Esther. She was an orphan, a young woman living in obscurity, surrounded by people who could not see her potential. Yet she understood her identity, her purpose, and her value in God's eyes. She did not allow the opinions of those around her to define her destiny. And when the time came, she stepped into her calling, saving a nation and leaving a legacy that continues to inspire generations. Self-worth is about seeing yourself through the lens of God's purpose rather than the limited perspective of human judgment. Self-worth is tested when criticism comes. People will always have opinions. People will always judge. People will always try to categorize you, limit you, or diminish your dreams. But your value is not in their hands. Your worth is not up for negotiation. God has already stamped His approval on you. His declaration of your value cannot be revoked by human opinion. Every time someone doubts you, disrespects you, or dismisses you, it is not a reflection of your value. It is a reflection of their perspective. The danger of seeking validation from people is that it is fleeting, inconsistent, unreliable. People will fail you. They will disappoint you. They will leave you feeling empty. But when your sense of self-worth is rooted in God, it becomes unshakable. It becomes steady, resilient, and eternal. You do not need constant reassurance because your identity is already affirmed by the Creator who knows your heart, your potential, and your purpose. Self-worth also requires self-recognition. You must be willing to acknowledge your own value, to affirm your gifts, to appreciate your growth, and to honor the journey you have traveled. Too often, we wait for someone else to tell us we are enough. We wait for someone else to validate our dreams. But true worth is self-acknowledged. It is self-owned. It is rooted in the understanding that you are chosen, anointed, and uniquely created for a life of significance. When you embrace your true worth, you begin to live differently. You stop compromising your dreams to please others. You stop shrinking to fit into spaces that were never meant for you. You stop apologizing for being who you are, and in doing so, you step into power, purpose, and destiny. Your life becomes a reflection of the divine image that dwells within you, and the world begins to recognize your impact, not because they validated you, but because your worth shines through your authenticity. Self-worth also protects you from toxic relationships and environments. When you understand your value, you refuse to settle for less than you deserve. You walk away from people who demean, diminish, or disrespect you. You refuse to accept situations that undermine your potential, and you step into spaces that honor your gifts, celebrate your presence, align with your purpose. Knowing your worth is not pride, it is protection, it is wisdom. It is a declaration that you will no longer allow others to define the limits of your life. Your worth is not tied to a paycheck, a title, a degree, or an achievement. Your worth is not measured by the number of friends you have or the applause you receive. Your worth is anchored in eternity. It is rooted in purpose. It is defined by the God who made you, who knows you, and who has a plan for your life that cannot be thwarted by human opinion. When you live from this place of understanding, you are unstoppable. You are unshakable. You are unbreakable. It is time to stop looking for validation outside of yourself. It is time to stop allowing the opinions of others to dictate your choices. It is time to embrace the truth that you are enough, not because someone said so, not because the world acknowledged it, but because God said so. Your worth is inherent, your value is undeniable, and your life is too precious to be diminished by the limited understanding of others. So rise, stand tall, speak boldly, step confidently, and walk in the fullness of who you are. Your self-worth is not defined by people, it is defined by God. It is eternal, unshakable, and unstoppable. And when you live with this truth, nothing, no opinion, no rejection, no disappointment can ever diminish your light, your purpose, or your destiny. Your life has meaning, your gifts have value, your presence matters. And the world may not always recognize it, but that does not change the truth. You are enough. You are chosen. You are loved. You are powerful. And the day you embrace this truth is the day your life begins to reflect the divine purpose that was written for you from the beginning. There is a battle that every person faces. It is not always visible. It is not always loud, but it is present. It is the battle between faith and fear. Fear whispers in our ears, "You cannot do this. You are not enough. You will fail." It paralyzes, it intimidates, and it tries to convince us that stepping forward is too dangerous, too risky, too impossible. But faith speaks differently. Faith says, you are equipped, you are capable, you are chosen. Move forward and trust the one who called you. A fear will always try to have a voice in your life. It will tell you lies about your future, exaggerate your weaknesses, and magnify your challenges. It will focus your attention on what you lack rather than what you have. But fear is not the final authority. Fear is not the master. Faith is greater. Faith sees the unseen. Faith believes the impossible. Faith steps into the unknown because it trusts the one who holds the future. Faith over fear is not a suggestion. It is a command of life. It is the principle by which victories are won, mountains are moved, and destinies are fulfilled. Every person who has achieved greatness has faced fear. Every person who has walked into their purpose has been tempted to give in to doubt. What sets those who succeed apart is not the absence of fear, it is the presence of faith. Faith says, even though I feel afraid, I will move forward. Even though the path is unclear, I will trust. Even though the world doubts me, I will believe. Fear thrives in uncertainty, but faith thrives in trust. Fear says, what if I fail? Faith says, even if I fail, I am not defeated because God is with me. Fear focuses on obstacles. Faith focuses on the outcome. Fear looks at limitations. Faith looks at possibilities. And when faith rises above fear, it transforms weakness into strength, limitation into opportunity, and doubt into destiny. Consider the moments in life when fear seems the strongest. You are on the brink of a new opportunity. A promotion, a move, a calling, you can feel it in your spirit, but the voice of fear says, what if you are not ready? What if this fails? What if you make the wrong decision? In that moment, faith is the choice to trust God's timing, God's plan, and God's provision. Faith over fear says, I may not have all the answers, but the one who does is guiding my steps. Faith over fear requires courage. It is not passive. It is not wishful thinking. It is action in the presence of uncertainty. It is stepping into the storm with confidence that you are being carried, protected, and guided. The heroes of Scripture did not walk in faith because they were fearless. They walked in faith because their trust in God was greater than their fear of the unknown. Moses faced a nation of doubt. David faced a giant with only a sling. Daniel faced the lions with prayer. And in every case, faith triumphed over fear because they understood that God's power is greater than any challenge. Faith over fear also demands persistence. Fear will try to stop you repeatedly. It will make you question your decisions, doubt your abilities, and hesitate at every step. But faith persists. Faith keeps moving forward when the path is unclear. Faith keeps speaking when voices of negativity rise around you. Faith keeps praying when solutions are invisible. Faith does not quit because fear is persistent. Faith thrives because it is anchored in the eternal, unshakable promise of God. When fear tells you that you are not enough, faith reminds you of who you are in Christ, in purpose and in potential. Fear will make you small. Faith will make you unstoppable. Fear will convince you to settle. Faith will push you to rise. Fear limits vision. Faith expands possibility. And the moment you choose faith over fear, you step into a realm where miracles happen, where doors open, where mountains move, and where your destiny cannot be denied. Faith over fear is also contagious. When you choose to walk boldly despite fear, you inspire others to do the same. Your courage becomes a light in the darkness. Your faith becomes a model for those who are hesitant, unsure, or paralyzed by fear. And as you rise, you not only experience personal victory, you create a ripple effect that empowers others to step into their own faith. Faith over fear requires a shift in perspective. Fear focuses on what could go wrong. Faith focuses on who is on your side. Fear magnifies the problem. Faith magnifies the promise. Fear asks, how will I survive? Faith declares, with God, I will thrive. Faith does not ignore danger or difficulty. It acknowledges it, confronts it, and walks through it with confidence in the unseen hand of God. Faith over fear is not an occasional choice. It is a lifestyle. It is a principle to live by, a standard to follow, a foundation upon which your life is built. It is what separates those who achieve from those who only dream. It is what distinguishes leaders from followers. It is what allows ordinary people to accomplish extraordinary things. So the next time fear rises in your heart, do not shrink. Do not surrender. Do not silence the voice of faith within you. Speak boldly, act courageously, and trust relentlessly. Fear may roar, but faith will roar louder. Fear may paralyze, but faith will propel. Fear may whisper lies, but faith will declare truth. And in that moment, you will discover the power, the freedom, the victory that comes from choosing faith over fear. Faith over fear is the key to unlocking your potential. It is the gateway to fulfilling your purpose. It is the pathway to living a life of significance, impact, and divine favor. Fear may knock at the door of your mind, but faith must answer. Fear may challenge your heart, but faith must lead. And when faith leads, nothing can stop the manifestation of God's promises in your life. Choose faith. Stand strong, step forward, speak boldly, and let faith triumph over fear in every area of your life. Because when you do, you will walk in victory, rise above limitation, and live a life that testifies to the power of trusting in God above all else. Faith over fear is not just a statement, it is a declaration. It is a lifestyle. It is the principle that transforms challenges into triumph, obstacles into opportunities, and doubt into destiny. And when you live with faith over fear, you will see doors open, mountains move, and miracles manifest in ways that will leave the world in awe. Fear is temporary, but faith is eternal. Fear may speak, but faith responds. Fear may intimidate, faith conquers. And the life that is built on faith over fear will never be shaken, never be limited, and never be defeated. Rise in faith. Overcome in faith. Walk boldly in faith, because faith over fear is the key to your victory, your destiny, and your divine purpose. God's timing is perfect, not ours. The world's, not the clock on the wall or the calendar in our hands. God's timing is perfect, and it is often different from what we expect. We live in a world that values speed, efficiency, and instant results. We are conditioned to want answers now, solutions today, and breakthroughs immediately. We become impatient when prayers seem unanswered, when doors remain closed, or when opportunities are delayed. The divine clock does not run on human schedules. God's timing is not late. It is perfectly orchestrated. It is easy to feel discouraged when you are waiting. You pray, you hope, you believe, you put in the work. And yet, the results do not come on your timeline. Doors remain shut. People fail to show up. Opportunities pass by. The world whispers, maybe it's not meant to be. Maybe you missed your chance. Maybe you are too late, but God says, I am right on time. God's timing is perfect because it is guided by His wisdom, not our understanding. When we act too soon, we often stumble. When we act too late, we miss opportunities. But God, in His infinite wisdom, places us in the right moment for maximum impact. The delays, the waiting, the seasons of preparation, they are not accidents. They are divine appointments. They are carefully orchestrated to ensure that when the time comes, the outcome is perfect, the impact is eternal, and the blessings are undeniable. Think about the seasons of your life that seemed delayed. Perhaps it was a dream you had for years that had not come to fruition. Perhaps it was a relationship, a promotion, or a breakthrough you've been praying for. You may have felt forgotten. You may have felt overlooked. You may have even felt like giving up. God's timing was perfect. The waiting was preparing you, the delay was refining you, and the season of anticipation was equipping you for something greater than you could imagine. The story of Abraham and Sarah illustrates this perfectly. They waited for decades for the promise of a child. Every human instinct screamed that it was too late, that the opportunity had passed, that hope was gone. God's timing was perfect. When the moment arrived, what seemed impossible became inevitable. The delay was not a denial. It was preparation for a miraculous fulfillment that changed history. God's timing is perfect because it is purposeful. Every moment of waiting, every season of delay, every closed door serves a higher purpose. Sometimes God is protecting you from what is not yet ready for you. Sometimes He is preparing your character, building your strength, and deepening your faith. Sometimes He is positioning you in the right place, aligning the right people, and orchestrating the circumstances for maximum blessing. Nothing in your life is wasted. Nothing is random. Nothing happens too early or too late. The impatience we feel in life often comes from comparing our timeline to someone else's. We look at others and think, they have what I want, and it came so quickly for them. Why is my life delayed? But God's timing is not the same for everyone. What comes quickly for one person may require preparation for another. What happens early for someone else may have long-term consequences if it came to you too soon. God's timing is not only perfect, it is tailored for your life, your purpose, and your destiny. Waiting on God's timing also teaches us patience, trust, and resilience. It forces us to depend on Him rather than our own understanding. It teaches us that we do not control everything. And that true success is not about speed, it is about alignment with the divine plan. When we trust God's timing, we learn to surrender our agendas, release our expectations, and embrace the journey as much as the destination. Faith is the key to navigating God's timing. It is the ability to believe in what is unseen, to trust in what is promised, and to remain steadfast when the world seems to move on without you. Faith says, even though I do not see the outcome yet, I trust that God's timing is perfect. Even though the answers are delayed, believe the result will be worth the wait. Faith transforms waiting from a season of frustration into a season of preparation and growth. God's timing is also perfect because it allows for alignment of purpose. Sometimes we think we are ready for something before God does. Sometimes we pursue goals that we are not yet equipped to handle, but when God's timing is revealed, everything aligns. Your preparation, your skills, your resources, and your opportunities. The breakthrough comes not by chance, but by design. It comes when the divine conditions are right. And when it comes, it is far more powerful than anything you could have achieved on your own. Patience in God's timing is not passive waiting. It is active preparation. It is seeking wisdom, developing character, and strengthening faith while anticipating the season of fulfillment. It is understanding that God is at work even when the situation seems stagnant. It is trusting that the delay is not denial, that what is meant for you will come at exactly the right time. Think about Joseph, who was sold into slavery, imprisoned, and forgotten for years. To the human eye, it looked like delay, like injustice, like life was unfair. But God's timing was perfect. Every trial, every challenge, every moment of waiting positioned him for greatness. When the time came, Joseph was elevated to a position where he could save nations. Delay was necessary for preparation, positioning, and purpose. God's timing is perfect because it prevents mistakes, maximizes impact, ensures fulfillment. When we rush, we risk disaster. When we act too early, we risk missing the blessing. When we trust God's timing, every step is guided, every opportunity is aligned, and every outcome is perfect. The waiting is not wasted. The waiting is essential. So do not despair in delay. Do not grumble in seasons of waiting. Do not measure God's timing by the world's standards. Trust that every moment, every obstacle, every closed door, every unanswered prayer is part of a divine schedule that is perfectly orchestrated. Your breakthrough, your promotion, your destiny, your blessing will arrive at the exact right time. God's timing is perfect. It is not too early. It is not too late. It is just right. When you understand this truth, waiting becomes powerful, preparation becomes purposeful, and faith becomes unwavering. You step into life with confidence, knowing that God's plan cannot fail, His timing cannot be wrong, and His promises will always come to pass. So hold on. Be patient. Keep believing. Keep trusting. Keep walking in faith. The moment that God has prepared for you is coming. The doors He has aligned for you will open. The blessings He has promised will manifest. And when it happens, you will understand the perfection of His timing, the wisdom of the delay, the purpose in the waiting, and the joy in the fulfillment. There is a truth that many of us struggle to understand. Some of the greatest growth, strength, and breakthroughs come in moments of solitude. There are seasons in life when the crowd disappears, the support fades, and you are left standing alone. At first, it may feel like abandonment. It may feel like rejection. It may feel like life is against you. But the reality is this solitude is not your enemy. Solitude is your opportunity. Solitude is the forge in which resilience is built. Resilience in solitude is the ability to stand firm when no one else stands with you. It is the capacity to keep moving when encouragement is absent, when applause is silent, and when recognition is delayed. It is learning to rely on your own faith, your own determination, and most importantly, the guidance of God. In those quiet, solitary moments, the seeds of greatness are planted. The strength that sustains your purpose is developed. Character that cannot be shaken is refined. Too often, we fear being alone. We seek constant company, constant validation, and constant reassurance. Resilience grows not in comfort, but in challenge. It grows not in the presence of people, but in the quiet spaces where we face our fears, confront our doubts, and wrestle with our limitations. It is in solitude that we discover who we truly are. It is in these moments that we develop the fortitude to stand tall in the storms of life. Consider the trees that grow in harsh climates. They endure wind, drought, and isolation from fertile valleys. Yet these trees develop roots so deep that storms cannot uproot them. They develop strength that allows them to thrive where others wither. So it is with the human spirit. When you embrace resilience in solitude, you develop roots of faith, courage, and perseverance that no challenge can destroy. Solitude is also a time for clarity. When you are alone, free from distraction and noise, you can hear the voice of God more clearly. You can see your path more distinctly. You can reflect on your goals, your values, your purpose without the distortion of outside opinion. It is in these quiet moments that vision is refined, strategy is formed, confidence is strengthened. Solitude allows you to listen to the whisper of destiny that may have been drowned out by the clamor of the world. Resilience in solitude requires discipline. It is not passive. It is not waiting idly for circumstances to change. It is actively engaging in personal growth, spiritual development, and mental fortitude. It is praying when the answers are not clear. It is working when no one is watching. It is believing when hope seems distant. The person who cultivates resilience in solitude does not rely on the presence of others for strength. They rely on God and their own commitment to rise. Heroes of history, scripture, and life were often strengthened in solitude. Moses spent 40 years in the desert before leading a nation, spent years in the wilderness before becoming king. Jesus spent 40 days alone in the wilderness before beginning his ministry. In solitude, they were tested, refined, and prepared for the responsibilities that awaited them. And the same principle applies to your life. You endure alone is preparing you for impact, influence, and purpose. Solitude also teaches self-reliance. It forces you to confront the reality that your destiny is not dependent on anyone else. It reminds you that God equips you with what you need. The power to persevere exists within you when aligned with His will. The skills you develop, the faith you nurture, the strength you cultivate in solitude will become the foundation of resilience that carries you through every trial, challenge, and opportunity. During moments of solitude, you also discover endurance. Life is filled with seasons where support may be minimal, encouragement may be absent, obstacles may appear insurmountable, yet resilience in solitude teaches you to endure without complaint, to persevere without external motivation, and to remain faithful when the world moves on. It is in these moments that your character is tested and your spirit strengthened. Resilience in solitude is transformative. It shapes perspective, fortifies the soul, and deepens understanding. When you emerge from a season of solitude, you do not emerge unchanged. You emerge stronger. You emerge wiser. You emerge equipped to handle challenges that once seemed impossible. The storms you faced alone become testimonies of perseverance. The nights of silence become declarations of faith. The journey that seemed lonely becomes a story of triumph. It is important to understand that resilience in solitude is not about isolation. It is not about shutting the world out or withdrawing from relationships. It is about learning to thrive when you are alone, to grow when support is absent, to trust when guidance seems distant. It is the realization that your strength is not dependent on constant company, but on the alignment of your purpose, your preparation, and your faith. Solitude is also a time of empowerment. It gives you the opportunity to focus on your gifts, your talents, and your goals without interference. It allows you to build confidence in your abilities and to develop independence that cannot be shaken. When you emerge from solitude, you are no longer reliant on the validation or support of others. You are empowered by your own resilience and faith, capable of navigating any challenge with poise and determination. The lessons of resilience in solitude are eternal. They are not temporary skills, they are lifelong tools. The strength you build, the wisdom you gain, the faith you cultivate during times of solitude will carry you through every season of life. They will enable you to face adversity with courage, to pursue your purpose with passion, and to rise above limitations with confidence. So if you are in a season of solitude, do not despair. Do not feel abandoned. Do not view it as a punishment. Instead, embrace it as a season of preparation, growth, and empowerment. Use this time to strengthen your faith, refine your character, and cultivate resilience. Understand that what you endure alone is shaping you for a future where your impact, influence, and purpose will be undeniable. Resilience in solitude is not easy, but it is essential. It is the forge in which strength is formed, the classroom in which wisdom is learned, and the preparation ground for destiny. Stand firm, stay faithful, keep moving, keep trusting. And remember that the trials, the challenges, and the quiet moments of life are not setbacks, they are setups for your rise. You embrace resilience in solitude, you emerge stronger, wiser, and prepared for whatever life places before you. You develop roots that cannot be uprooted, faith that cannot be shaken, and courage that cannot be silenced. You become unstoppable because your strength is no longer dependent on anyone else. It is grounded in your spirit and anchored in God. Solitude is not emptiness. Solitude is empowerment. Solitude is preparation. And resilience in solitude is the key that unlocks your potential, fulfills your purpose, and allows you to rise above every challenge with confidence, strength, and unwavering faith. There is a power in your story that the world cannot take away. There is a victory in your journey that no circumstance can erase. There is a testimony within you that is greater than every trial, every setback, every moment of doubt or despair. That testimony is called triumph. It is the proof that no matter how many times life knocks you down, you can rise. It is the evidence that challenges are not permanent, and that with faith, perseverance, and purpose, you can overcome anything. A testimony of triumph is more than just success. It is more than a moment of victory. It is a declaration of resilience, faith, and endurance. It is a story that begins in the depths of struggle and rises into the light of breakthrough. Every trial, every loss, every disappointment is transformed into a stepping stone for triumph. The scars you bear, the tears you shed, the battles you fight are all part of the narrative that shapes your testimony. And when you rise above, your triumph becomes a beacon for others who are still fighting their own battles. Triumph begins with faith. It is faith that allows you to see beyond your current circumstances. Faith says, this is not the end. This is the process. There is a purpose behind every setback, every challenge, and every delay. Faith believes in the unseen. Faith trusts the promise of God, even when the world seems to whisper that all hope is lost. And it is this faith that transforms ordinary struggles into extraordinary triumphs. Consider the times you have faced adversity. Maybe it was a failed business, broken relationship, or a health crisis. Perhaps it was financial hardship, rejection, or betrayal. In those moments, it is natural to feel defeated. It is natural to question your path, your worth, and your future. But triumph is born in these very moments. It is forged in the fire of adversity, strengthened by perseverance, and solidified through unwavering faith. A testimony of triumph requires resilience. Life will challenge you. It will push you to your limits. It will test your patience, your strength, and your courage. But resilience allows you to rise each time you fall. It allows you to keep moving when the way seems impossible. It allows you to trust in God's plan even when the outcome is not yet visible. Every obstacle you overcome, every mountain you climb, and every fear you conquer becomes a part of your testimony of triumph. Triumph is also a product of perseverance. Many people give up too soon. They stop believing, stop striving, and stop hoping before their breakthrough comes. But perseverance allows you to endure when the path is long, when the journey is difficult, and when the answers seem delayed. It is in the act of continuing that miracles are often realized. Every moment of persistence, every act of faithfulness, every effort to keep moving forward builds the foundation for triumph. A testimony of triumph inspires others. Your story, your rise, and your victory are not meant to be kept hidden. They are meant to encourage, motivate, and strengthen others who are walking through their own storms. When you share your testimony, you give hope to the hopeless, strength to the weary, and courage to those who feel defeated. Your triumph becomes a light in the darkness, proving that no obstacle is insurmountable, no challenge is permanent, and no setback is final. Triumph is not always immediate. Often it comes after seasons of waiting, preparation, and growth. The delay is not denial. The setback is not failure. The waiting period is a time of refining, strengthening, and equipping. Just as a seed must endure darkness before it sprouts, your triumph often requires seasons of patience, prayer, and preparation. And when it comes, the victory is sweeter because you have been molded, strengthened, tested in the process. A testimony of triumph acknowledges the power of God's hand. It recognizes that victory is not achieved by human strength alone, but through divine guidance, wisdom, and favor. Every success, every breakthrough, and every moment of victory is evidence that God's plan is perfect. His timing is precise, and his power is unmatched. When you understand this, your triumph becomes not only personal, but also spiritual, a declaration of God's faithfulness in your life. Triumph also requires gratitude. It is easy to focus on what went wrong, what was lost, or what caused pain. But a testimony of triumph sees the blessings within the struggle, the lessons within the loss, and the purpose within the pain. Gratitude allows you to celebrate victory, not just for the outcome, but for the journey that brought you there. It turns your testimony into a story of hope, faith, and resilience that resonates with others. Every person has a testimony of triumph waiting to be written. It may not be evident yet, may still be hidden behind trials, delays, and challenges, but it exists. The pain you endured today is the foundation for your victory tomorrow. The obstacles you face are the stepping stones for your breakthrough. The tears you shed are the waters that nourish the soil of your success. And when the moment arrives, your testimony will shine as proof that no trial is permanent, no setback is final, no challenge can overpower the power of faith. A testimony of triumph is transformative. It changes how you see yourself, how you see others, how you approach life. It gives you confidence in your purpose, strength in your struggles, and hope in your future. It reminds you that you are capable of overcoming, designed for victory, and destined for greatness. And it encourages you to walk boldly, live courageously, pursue your calling with unwavering determination. Remember, triumph is not only about achieving your goals, it is about overcoming, persevering, and rising above every challenge. It is about turning pain into power, trials into testimony, and setbacks into setups for greater success. It is about demonstrating that no matter what comes against you, you have the strength of faith and the resilience to rise above and claim victory. So, if you are facing trials today, if you feel defeated, if you feel like giving up, remember this: your testimony of triumph is being written even now. Every obstacle you overcome, every battle you fight, and every moment you stand firm adds to the story of your victory. Keep trusting, keep fighting, keep believing. And when your triumph comes, it will not only be a personal victory, it will be a declaration of God's faithfulness, power, purpose in your life. Your testimony of triumph is your legacy. It is your declaration of resilience. It is your proof that no matter how many times life knocks you down, you can rise again. It is your story of faith, courage, and victory. And when you embrace it, share it, and live it, you inspire a world to believe that triumph is possible, hope is real, and victory is inevitable. Rise up. Step into your destiny. Declare your triumph. Let your life be the living proof that no obstacle is too great, no struggle is too hard, and no challenge can overcome the power of faith, perseverance, and divine purpose. Your testimony of triumph is waiting. Claim it, live it, and let it shine. There is a promise in life that many overlook. God has designed a life of elevation for you. But this is not ordinary elevation. This is not temporary promotion or fleeting success. This is unlimited elevation and upward movement in every area of your life that cannot be stopped, delayed, or diminished by circumstances, people, or even your own limitations. Unlimited elevation is the destiny God has prepared for you, and it is waiting for the moment you are ready to step into it. Unlimited elevation begins with vision. You cannot rise beyond what you believe is possible. You cannot ascend beyond the limitations you place on yourself. To experience unlimited elevation, you must first see yourself as God sees you, as powerful, capable, chosen, and equipped for greatness. You must envision a life that surpasses your current reality, a destiny that defies the expectations of the world, and a future that aligns with God's promises. Vision creates the pathway for elevation, and faith fuels the journey. Elevation is not always easy. It is not handed to you on a silver platter. Often requires seasons of preparation, persistence, and perseverance. You will face challenges that seem insurmountable, obstacles that threaten to stop you, people who try to hold you back. But unlimited elevation is not dependent on the absence of opposition. It is defined by your ability to rise above it. True elevation occurs when you do not allow circumstances to determine your destiny, when you refuse to settle for less than God's best, when you press forward despite fear, doubt, and resistance. Unlimited elevation requires resilience. Life will test you. Life will challenge your patience. Life will push you to the edge of your faith. But elevation is born in the ability to endure, to rise each time you fall, to trust that the higher calling of God on your life is greater than every temporary setback, every obstacle, every delay. Every moment of difficulty is a stepping stone to a higher level. What feels like a setback is often a setup for your next elevation. Faith is the foundation of unlimited elevation. You cannot rise beyond your faith. Faith allows you to see beyond the storm, beyond the delay, and beyond the limitations of the present moment. Faith says, I may not understand the path. I may not see the full picture. I trust that God is lifting me into a place that I could never reach on my own. Faith gives you the courage to step into your destiny, even when the timing feels uncertain, the pathway unclear, and the outcome unknown. Unlimited elevation also requires vision, strategy, and preparation. You cannot ascend without understanding the path, without developing the skills needed for higher responsibility, without positioning yourself in alignment with God's plan. This is why seasons of waiting, solitude, and preparation are necessary. While others see delay, God sees preparation. While others see setbacks, God sees alignment. And when the moment comes, your elevation will be unstoppable because you have been prepared for it. Elevation is not just personal, it is also spiritual. God lifts those whose hearts are aligned with His purpose. Unlimited elevation is not about fame, fortune, or recognition. It is about living fully in your calling, impacting the lives of others, and walking in alignment with divine destiny. When you rise in purpose, elevation is multiplied, your influence expands, and your legacy is solidified. The higher you rise, the greater your ability to bring change, hope, and inspiration to the world around you. One of the keys to unlimited elevation is understanding that it is limitless. Does not measure your promotion by human standards. He does not place boundaries on your blessing. Elevation is not a destination. It is a journey, process, and a continual movement upward. Every time you overcome fear, rise above doubt, and step into faith, you are moving into a higher level. Act of perseverance, every choice to trust God, and every time you refuse to settle for less than His best is a step toward unlimited elevation. The story of Joseph in the Bible illustrates this truth perfectly. Sold into slavery, falsely accused, and imprisoned, Joseph faced what seemed like insurmountable obstacles, but God's favor was upon him. Every challenge he endured was preparation for a position of authority and influence that would allow him to save nations. His elevation was unlimited, not determined by his setbacks, but by God's perfect plan and timing. And like Joseph, your elevation will not be limited by your circumstances, but will be defined by God's purpose for your life. Unlimited elevation also requires humility. While you rise, you remain grounded in your values, grateful for every step, and aware of the responsibility that comes with influence. Elevation is not just for personal gain. It is for service, impact, and fulfillment of a higher calling. The higher you rise, the more your actions affect others, and the more your testimony inspires. Humility ensures that your rise does not become a moment of pride, but a platform for purpose. Your mindset is crucial for unlimited elevation. You must believe that elevation is possible, trust that you are equipped for it, and refuse to allow fear, doubt, or negativity to hold you back. You must be willing to step out of your comfort zone, embrace challenges, and take risks in faith. Elevation does not happen in the familiar. It happens when you trust God to lead you into new territory, to open new doors, to position you in a place where your potential can be fully realized. Unlimited elevation also requires perseverance. You will face moments when it seems the world is against you. People may doubt you, opportunities may be delayed, and obstacles may appear insurmountable. Elevation is a result of persistence, not perfection. The person who rises to unlimited elevation refuses to quit. The person who achieves it continues moving forward despite opposition, criticism, and difficulty. The higher you aim, greater the resistance, but the greater the reward. Finally, unlimited elevation is about destiny. It is about stepping into the fullness of the life God intended for you. It is about walking in the purpose you were created to fulfill. It is about recognizing that you were designed for greatness, equipped for impact, and positioned for influence. And when you embrace unlimited elevation, you are no longer limited by fear, hesitation, or the expectations of others. You rise into a realm where nothing can hold you back. Every blessing multiplies, and where your potential is fully realized. So rise, step into your purpose, trust God's plan, embrace the preparation, overcome the obstacles, and move forward with faith. Unlimited elevation is not just a possibility, it is your destiny. It is not bound by circumstances. It is fueled by faith. It is not temporary. It is eternal in its impact. Your elevation has no ceiling. Your rise has no limit. Your destiny is too big to be confined by doubt, fear, or delay. Step forward, embrace your calling, and walk boldly into the life that God has designed for you. Unlimited elevation is not a dream. It is a reality waiting for your obedience, your faith, courage,